Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being here with us tonight for another live edition of the show. People in the chat room saying they're having problems. And we have some people that are having problems, some that aren't. It would be good information to have. So some of you can hear my voice and some of you can't. We had issues last night with the stream being under attack and the internet connection being under attack. And so during that, I switched it to a different encoder, not MP3 anymore, but an AAC encoder, and it seems to be running so much smoother, and we haven't had any issues. And I don't know, but if I don't know what the solution to that would be. Because the other, I was reading up on the encoders that Sam Broadcaster comes with, and it talks about the ones that it comes with are just crap. So I've tried using, a different encoder. Maybe that's it. So is there anybody in the chat room at all now who can hear the sound of my voice, who can hear anything coming out of the stream? And we've got 10 people in the chat room or so. I mean, 10 people in the chat room. So at least, I mean, are any of you out there hearing anything? It'd be nice if one of the 10 people in the chat room could let us know. So Ace hears me. Okay, Ace, what are you listening on? Anon 4666. I'm not making that up. Anon 4666. Okay. Anon 6549 can hear. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing here is, if it's working for some people and not for others, then I've got to keep on going. I keep plowing forward and, hopefully try to use a different player, maybe try VLC or, VLC is a good one to try. Winamp, you're using Windows Media Player and it works fine. Okay. Stomping Evil's using Real Player, and it's nice and clear. Yeah. The AAC encoder, I definitely noticed a huge jump in quality. The archive, the only problem with the archive is that the only AAC to MP3 converter I could find is, I selected that I wanted it to be in 128K, but no matter what I select, it automatically puts it in 64K. And I thought maybe it's because you had to pay for it or something. There was no thing to pay for it. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I guess I may just keep the archives at 64K and make them smaller, because some people have wanted smaller file sizes of the show, and I really don't have a problem with that, to be honest with you. I mean, it might make it more accessible for some people. I mean, to me, it's, as long as we're broadcasting in the 128K so that the music's loud and clear and everything and the voice is loud and clear, then, I heard back the 64K archive. What it said was 64K, even though it said it was encoded at 128 last night, and it didn't sound bad. It sounded pretty decent. So, but the 128 sounds exact. The archive of the 128 sounds exactly like it does on the radio. So, I guess, that's all I can really tell. If you guys in the chat room who can hear me can educate the people who can't hear me on what would be the appropriate player for them to use, I would very much appreciate that. and we'll have ourselves a broadcast. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. This is our Thursday night edition of the show into Friday now, the 8th into the 9th of 2012, March. And don't forget, we spring forward this weekend, so the time moves forward. Boy, didn't it seem like it was way later last year? Wasn't it like well after like Easter last year when the time switched? It seemed like it was way later. Is that just me? I don't know. Could be, but either way, it's just an excuse for these elite cocksuckers to have an extra hour to play golf, right? We've got quite a bit of news here tonight to get into. Quite a few interesting stories to cover. So we'll be doing that. And I don't know if we have any emails or not. We'll check the email, but I don't know if we have any or not. So we'll be doing mostly news and reading from Zachariah Sitchin's End of Days tonight. Love to have emails from you anytime, and actually when I'm live as well. If you want to send them in during the show and have a question, because I like to address stuff on air. So the way it kind of works here, in lieu of taking phone calls and stuff, because I hate phones, to be honest with you. I did it for so long and it sucks. So in lieu of taking phone calls and stuff, I like to have people send in emails with questions and comments and topics you'd like me to hear me discuss or want to get my take on. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's where you send in any of your emails. Love to get those, and appreciate everybody out there that sends them in. My website, where this broadcast originates from, is theglobalreality.com. That's theglobalreality.com. And there you'll find all the things pertaining to my work, including all my documentary films, most of which, except for the last part of the Secret Right Volume 2, which will be coming to the web very soon. You can watch all my documentaries up there. There's probably, depending on how long you've been into my work, those of you who've been in my work for a long time, probably seen most of them, but if not all of them. But if you're new to my work, there's all kinds of documentaries up there. So the Reality of Illusion series, and I plan on doing more for that series in the very near future. I'm going to do because I wanted to do a film for the longest time on the bloodlines, but there's so much to make a film about. It would take fucking 20 volumes. So I'm going to make like a small bloodline film for my Reality of Illusion series this year as well. It's on my agenda for things to get done. And you can also buy the Secret Right Volume 2 up there as well. If you haven't received your DVDs or Blu-rays, if you ordered in the past couple of weeks, or you ordered by money order, be patient. Those orders will be on their way very soon. You can get the Secret Right Volume 2, my newest film, which discusses further into the CMP and the Secret Right, exposes Alex Jones and the whole origins of the conspiracy culture. So you definitely want to get a copy of that and spread that around. Blu-ray as well. I mean, how many people in this genre put out their films on Blu-ray? Well, we did it. We got it done thanks to the help of people out there who support my work and want to see this stuff get out there. And I couldn't do it without them. I certainly could not have done this film, Zero Volume 2, without the help of the individuals. You know who you are. You were thanked in the film with producer credits and all that stuff. I could have done it without those people, and we just need more of those. We just need more people like that coming forward and helping out those people who want to see this information get out there, because I've had, I talked about recently emails that people send in and, oh, you're going down this path with all this, talking about this Anunnaki stuff and this, as if it's, against some code of law to even go into things that somehow are taboo, which is always why I want to go into those things. But I explained that's just, that's been the natural progression of where the CMP stuff, and somebody said, oh, the CMP stuff, you're whatever, I don't know what the terminology they used was, you're doing something, hurting the CMP information or something by talking about this other stuff. Well, or you're going to lose listeners and all this by talking about that stuff. What's funny about that is people told me the same thing. It's funny that you're saying that, talking about this stuff is gonna make me lose listeners because and it's going to cloud the CMP stuff. Well, what's funny about that is that's the exact same thing they told me when I started bringing up the CMP stuff. Everybody, all the other my fellow hosts, they told me, "Oh, you're going down the toilet," talking about this stuff. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know too many other people who had the cojones. At that point, I was very much involved in like the truther movement stuff, and here I am in the middle of it, bringing out this information that just happened to be, finding at that moment. And sure, I lost listeners from that. Did I care? No. I'm one of those people that have never cared how many listeners I have. It doesn't bother me. I've never looked into that. Now, there are a lot of people who are obsessed with it. A lot of hosts who are obsessed with it to the point where they're so obsessed with it to the point I never cared. I never looked at it. But I know that when I was on certain networks, I had really, really super high numbers. And a lot higher than some people did, and that became a problem. So I began to be targeted by fellow hosts and people like that who would just try to, what they would do is they would come in under an anon name in the chat room, right? And they would start shit with me specifically, and then I would react and ban them, and then they would go cry to whoever at the network. And then that they would sort of make this case that I was being divisive and making them lose listeners and stuff like that because of my actions in the chat room. When I was doing nothing more but reacting, and so they knew I had a temper when I would do that. And so eventually that's how I, to be honest with you, 100% honest, for total transparency, I'm actually talking about Oracle, and that's actually the circumstances that happened for me leaving there in 2009. Because there are people on that network that are so obsessed with their numbers that they will do something like that out of sheer jealousy and spite. It's not about getting out information to them. And so, you know what? I've taken those hits, and I could have not gone the route I've gone, which would never have allowed me to go down the route of a lot of the CMP stuff that you're saying I'm clouding with this other stuff, which I would never have gotten to this stuff if I hadn't gone down the route of the CMP stuff. It's a natural progression of researching information when you start to go back and back and back, and you're looking at everything. So, this whole thing, oh, you're going to lose listeners, I've never been concerned about that. My show and my work and what I do is for the people it's supposed to be for. And it's not for anybody else. And I believe that, just like everything, you find with the things that you're in life, in your search for everything in life, for knowledge or whatever it may be, you always find the things you're supposed to find. I can't explain it, but it's absolutely a fact. Have you ever, here's an example that a lot of you may relate to in what I'm talking about. Have you ever had a band or a record or something that maybe came out 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago or something, and you hear it and you're like, my God, what is this? How come I've never heard this before? How come it slipped? How did that slip by me? And you hear it, and it just changes your life, or a movie or something like that, or a book. You're like, how did this go under my radar? How did I miss this? And why am I just now finding this? And this is perfect for right now. That's an example of that. Because the things that you're supposed to find eventually find you, and they find you when they're supposed to find you at the times when you most need them. And so I think that probably in the past on this show, when I was talking about other topics, there were people that were finding what I was doing at that time, and that was what they needed to find at that moment. But it just perpetuates itself, and now with the stuff that I'm talking about and getting into with the rock wall stuff and all that, it's happening again, but on a different level. People that have been disenfranchised from the Patriot movement, truth movement before, for a long time were kind of the biggest people I was getting, what I like to call rehabilitated Jones Kool-Aid drinkers, because I'm head number fucking 1 right here, dude. It's the only reason I have a right to fucking rehab people out of the Jones Kool-Aid camp. You know why? Because I was one myself one time, and I'm not fucking afraid to admit it. But you know what? At least I pulled myself out of that fucking dreck, and that's what I hope to try to do here with information with other people. And so those people in the past have traditionally found the show a lot. Now we're finding a lot more people who are disenfranchised from, the ufology, UFO, paranormal stuff that, has its own pitfalls and its own bullshit as much as Alex Jones or anything else does. Or the phony New Age stuff, or people that have been into David Icke or whatever it may be. So I'm finding a lot more of the subsection of that type of people listening to the show. And, really appreciating the look at this. Because, the problem is that I think is that nobody up to this point has taken that end of things with, ancient religions and secret societies and the history of that and bloodlines, and also cross-reference that with the geopolitical stuff of the world order and the power structure of the world and who rules and why it is that way. It always seems like people have always been traditionally on one side of that. Either they're into UFOs and they're into paranormal and they're into, Zachariah Sitchin or whatever it may be. And that's it. That's their end. And they don't really, get into the end like you see with Alex Jones and the Patriot Movement with, talking about bankers and talking about Bill of Rights and Constitution and all that stuff. Or, even the stuff that I get into on that end, which would be, geopolitical stuff, stuff that affects us on our daily lives, and kind of bringing those two things together and showing that they indeed are one and the same and part of the same power structure. And to me, it just seems like a no-brainer because that's where the research is taking me, but I can't believe that there are not more people out there who are seeing the connections between these things and seeing that these wars and genocides and all this stuff are in fact a part of this priest class system who have been the protectors and the keepers of this secret knowledge and have been keeping us enslaved and keeping themselves in power for years with the restriction of this knowledge. But of course, it's really not hard to explain when you go and look at who owns the radio stations, and you look at who owns the television shows, and you look at who owns the publishing companies. All of them. You go and look at who publishes, Jim Marrs books, or any of these researchers and writers, even people like Graham Hancock and whoever else. But look at who publishes their books. It's always publishing companies that you can always trace back to big corporate conglomerates and the power structure itself. It's, but I also understand that that's, if that's the level you need to get your information out, that sometimes you don't have a choice, but to have to go the route of the big conglomerates and go the route of the big publishers just to get your information out to a large audience. It doesn't in every case mean that person is, nefarious or bad because their books are coming out on big conglomerate publishers. It doesn't always mean that, but it also doesn't mean that you shouldn't at least keep that in mind when you're considering the information that those people are bringing forward. You understand what I mean? Read their information, take it in, fact check it, see what agrees with what you already know. But, if you start seeing stuff that seems like, blatant disinfo or stuff that doesn't really fit in with what you've researched and you can't seem to find anybody else who knows anything about that, and it might seem like bullshit, well, then it would probably make the thesis that, them being on one of these big publishers or outlets or something like that, all the more sinister. Because I understand that's that's a position I'm in. I would love to be able to get my my films out to a larger audience. I wanted to be able to get the Secret Volume 2 out to a larger audience, but I needed $1,500 up front for a distributor to get that on iTunes and what's the other one? Netflix. $1,500, and honestly, I just kind of gave up on being able to do that because, I can't even get the resources I need in for the next film, and that's really, to me, the most important thing right now. But I also know that the Cigarette Volume 1 is still having legs. I mean, people are still ordering copies of that, and we've had a distributor in Hawaii for about 6 months now as a catalog. I don't even know where to get their catalog or their website or anything, but they've bought like 20 copies over the past 4 months or so, and we're placing more orders and stuff. It's pretty crazy, but I can't get them to. I sent a sample of Cigarette 2 and asked them if they wanted to carry it. I never heard anything back from them, so I'm going, what's up with that? But we'll see. I'd like them to carry that one, but I was supposed to be on the Vinnie Eastwood show tonight at 6 p.m. Central. Sorry if you guys tuned in for that. I had to pull out the last minute. I had some stuff I had to handle. Stuff was coming up. Actually, what I was trying to do. Actually, I was pretty pissed off about this. Because I canceled the show because I had somebody who was interested in buying some of my music gear that I'm going to be selling. Stuff that I used for the soundtrack of Cigarette Volume 2, synthesizer and a drum machine. I've got a Craigslist ad up. But I guess if anybody out there wanted to buy it over the web, I guess I could ship it to you. It'd probably be about $300 to ship this stuff, though. Because this Jupiter 4 weighs as much as a goddamn tank. But yeah. But anyway, the guy, he totally fucking cheesed on me, and so I was really pissed because I had fucking, canceled that show so I could handle that, because I was trying to get, I'm trying to get the cash that I need to get this film started. I'm just trying to get it started right now. That's what I'm trying to do. And as I talked about last night, I'm going to do anything I can to get it done. So, but I'm going to be on the Vinnie Eastwood show again. We rescheduled that, so that'll be next Thursday. I believe it's 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think the show starts at like 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, but I'm pretty sure I was still scheduled to be on at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. But I'll let you know for sure between now and then, and we'll see what happens there. It's only like an hour, and I know there's going to be commercials, so that means I'll probably get to talk for about 20 minutes, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's see how we got going on tonight. See if we have any emails. This from Surge. Surge says, "Hey Josh, I'm hopeful for your Rockwall project. On YouTube, I came across Carl Monk series that touch on mounds in the southern USA. Is very intensive series and well presented. Red Ice will be featuring Mr. Monk in the near future. Peace and love, Serge, Panama." Well, thanks, Serge. I never heard of that person. I'll definitely check that out. Maybe it might be somebody good for me to get on as a guest as well. But yeah, that's it's interesting that you say that, because that's what I'm in the process of getting the money together to do for this first initial stage. So I'm going to go document some of these mounds in the southern United States that all happen to be along the 33rd degree parallel, same as the rock wall and Georgia Guidestones, all that stuff. So, that's what I'm trying to do, man. And I want to do it by any means necessary. We do have a achievement banner for that if anybody wants to help out. We have the it's underneath. It's on the right hand side of the screen. You scroll down to our other achievement banner for the month, and you can help us achieve that goal. We also have a donate button there if you want to use that, or you can use my direct PayPal email address, dayglow76@yahoo.com. But like I said last night, the budget's pretty low for this film anyway, and it's not going to take. I mean, we're talking about $5,000 total or something to do the film, and like $10,000 total to do the film and a dig. So, that's really not a lot of money. But I just don't, I don't have any other options on how to raise funds to do that and stuff. So I need, investors and people that are interested in this, and believe me, if there's any big booty out of it, like we pull out some fucking dinosaur bone, which they're supposed to be just littered with in the area. I've heard some of those can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars to museums and stuff. So shit, if anybody invests $5-10 grand or whatever in this, I will definitely split up the booty with you. I'll split it up with all of y'all, whatever. We dig anything up down there. Because I plan on doing a big section. They didn't even go down to the bedrock last time. So the more I watch that dig video from that John Lindsay and them did, the more I just see it, just because I've done my own work on it now, not just looked at other people's work. So now that I've done my own work on it, I just, God, every time I watch it, I just see glaring, things are why, glaring questions. Why aren't you going down to this level? Why aren't you showing this down here? Why aren't you showing what's below this? That the rocks get bigger the deeper you get. Why aren't, it's just, there's so many things, and none of this has been documented in a film yet, and there's so many anomalies and interesting things about this that I'm just completely excited to be able to be in a position to document all this in film. So thanks, Serge. I appreciate that email, buddy, and I appreciate you sending your good vibes my way for your hopes for the film to get done. I'm hoping right there with you, bud. And I'm going to keep pounding at it, buddy, and we're going to get it done by hook or by crook. Paul says he wants to throw $100 towards it on April 1st. All right, well, thanks, Paul. Any little bit helps. Let's see. Where was the next? It's from our friend Steve in Irving again. We had an email from him last night. He says, David Icke was on Alex Jones' show this week. I was remembering that you and Lee Rogers talked about Icke's impact on his audiences. Yeah, my experiences I had, from interviewing, going to, show the migraines and feeling like I was under psychic attack, having my energy drained, both from interviewing and being at one of his talks. Yeah. Here's my story. I saw Icke speak in Tyler, Texas in 2003. Oh, wow. That's kind of far out in the sticks for Icke. What the fuck is he doing way out there? The hotel ballroom was packed, standing room only, probably 450 people. Icke was scheduled to speak for 2.5 hours. He spoke for 4.5 hours with 2 short breaks. When it was over, I was exhausted and I had a headache. I'm telling you, man, that's why he does these big audience things. And he's doing like not Wembley Stadium, but Wembley Arena sometime this year. And I just, I get the impression that he's draining. He's an energy vampire. And the larger audiences that he plays or talks in front of, the more energy that he drains. I think he's a total energy vampire. Absolutely. But you said he was exhausted and had a headache. Yeah, same thing with me and other people I know. I made my wife drive back to Irving. Keep up the work on the Sumerian text. It is important. I saw Sitchin make one of his last engagements in Dallas before he died. I read his first book, The 12th Planet, on a flight from DFW to Frankfurt, Germany in 1988, and I was a different person when we got to Germany. Wow. All right. Well, thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. This is, I liked this email. I read this earlier instead of a response back. I like this email. This is from Katie Phoenix. Not Katie in Phoenix, but Katie Phoenix. Hi there. Just a wee note to thank you for doing your show. I started listening after I heard you on Red Ice. Thanks for not making everything doom and gloom. I listened to Alex Jones a couple times, and that they're coming to get you stuff is a bit or a lot off. And no ads, thank God. Anyway, thanks. Also, I want to let you know I've been listening to your show and making rum raisin brownies at the same time. Just thought you might find that funny. Katie and Phoenix. Yeah, those sound good. I'll take some of those. Rum raisin brownies. Oh, yeah. I bet those are good. So Scotland representing yet again. My goodness. Oh, man. Love the Scots. And I think it's just great that we have so many great listeners in Scotland now. And they love it because I bag on the fucking Brits, man. The fucking Brits. It's fucking rubbish, man. But no, we do have some good people who listen to the UK. But yeah, got a lot of great listeners in Scotland. Got a lot of great listeners in Ireland. Do have a few in the UK. We got a lot of great listeners in New Zealand and Australia. Those two usually go back and forth. So what's really awesome here is that I think for the first time, New Zealand and Australia and Ireland and Scotland and even, yes, the old Mother Queen UK, You all have something in common for the first time besides the fact that you live under the crown. My show, my work. Congratulations. See? We're uniting people here. You guys can fucking been tear each other apart for fucking centuries, and you all find my show now. There's all something you can agree on. Of course, if you were all in a room together, you'd never admit it, because you'd never admit that you all agree on something, but, that's neither here nor there. So thanks, Katie Phoenix. I appreciate that. Let's get into the news tonight. Got a big story here. Excuse me. Got a big story here that really, again, synchronicity just abounds. And I was, aware of this stuff in things, modern day structures that we've built, the use of frequencies and stuff like that. I've been, a lot of these temples and different things. There's actually a, excuse me. I've talked about this before on the show, the Stargate in Dallas, which right next to it subsequently has a miniature Tower of Babel representation. Give me a fucking break. With all this rock wall stuff and these giants, and you're going to tell, and I didn't even know about this until a couple of years ago. And I actually heard it because I heard William Henry on Red Ice a few years back, like 2009, and I heard him talking about this Stargate in Dallas. I was like, wait, hold up, what? And he said there's a miniature Tower of Babel next to it. Dude, come on. I know every inch of this city. How could I have not ever seen that? And lo and behold, there it is. It's like sandwiched in a small little part of downtown Dallas. You can't really find it unless you're looking for it. Because it's off some of the major streets, but it's kind of off to the corner. It's like it's kind of crammed in there. But inside, they have this miniature Tower of Babel, and it spirals up, and they have stained glass that spirals all the way up to the top of this thing. And if you go in there and like hum or sing, you can actually hear the sound waves spiral up to the top of this thing and then spiral back down into the top of your head. And, with the anomalies of the rock wall, with the things like it having piezoelectric properties, and with, equipment that was set on top of it, beginning to shake like it was going to fly and take off, with frequency, sound, energy, all of this stuff. And this was published on Monday. And to me, as soon as I read this, I started going, oh my goodness, that makes sense about the rock wall. And so what they're talking about here is these temples that have been found on the island of Malta. Now, what's interesting about that is a few months ago, I think the story's probably still up on my website. You can probably go find it there. But I covered this story about this inscription being found on this stone in Malta. And I had commented here on the show, a lot of you may remember that show. It was just a couple of months ago, I think. You may remember that I commented that inscription on that stone found on the island of Malta looked strikingly similar to some of the carvings that have been found on the 2.5-ton garnet blocks from the rock wall. That, of course, one of them is allegedly, and we don't know if this is absolutely true or not, but one of them is allegedly in the possession of Congressman Ralph Hall, who's also a Freemason. Some ancient monumental structures were built to manipulate sound for sensory and mind fields. Mind, as in your mind, fields, suggest recent research. Now, that's interesting because I've talked about myself and several other people that I know. I actually talked to quite a few people now who have who told me about missing time experiences that they've had on near the rock wall and stuff like that. And me and my buddy had some kind of experience with some kind of an energy or something that made us both black out one time. So this is just fascinating. The results of recent research suggest that ancient and prehistoric builders of the monumental structures found in such diverse places as Ireland, Malta, southern Turkey, and Peru all have a peculiarly common characteristic. They may have been specially designed to conduct and manipulate sound to produce certain sensory effects. Now, one of the things I talk about in the Secret Right Volume 2 is when we're talking about Michael Aquino, he talks about the Wewelsburg Castle in Germany, where he conducted a black magic ritual where Heinrich Himmler used to create his do rituals at. And in that room, and they went to this on that show, what was it called? Legend Quest? Yeah, they went to it inside there, and yeah, it has frequencies and properties in there. They use that for rituals and who knows what else, conjuring entities. It could be, for all we know, it could be something like some gigantic sound generator that actually can bring about changes in matter from the frequencies and the vibrations of it. And the rock wall being, that big, get that thing oscillating, creating frequencies. Who knows what it's going to do? Who knows what it may be capable of? Beginning in 2008, a recent and ongoing study of the massive 6,000-year-old stone structure complex known as the House Salfini Hopigaium on the island of Malta, for example, is producing some revelatory results. Like its related prehistoric temple structures on Malta, this structure features central corridors and carved chambers, but this structure is unique in that it is subterranean, created through the removal of an estimated 2,000 tons of stone carved out with stone hammers and antler picks. Low voices within its walls create eerie, reverberating echoes, and a sound made or words spoken in certain places can be clearly heard throughout all three of its levels. Now, scientists are suggesting that certain sound vibration frequencies created when sound is emitted within its walls are actually altering human brain functions of those within earshot. Regional brain activity in a number of healthy volunteers was monitored by EEG through exposure to different sound vibration frequencies, reports Malta Temple expert Linda Enix of the Old Temple Study Foundation. The findings indicated that a 110 hertz pattern of activity over the prefrontal cortex abruptly shifted, resulting in a relative deactivation of the language center and a temporary shifting from the left to the right-sided dominance related to emotional processing and creativity. My goodness. The shifting did not occur at 90 hertz or 130 hertz. In addition to stimulating their more creative sides, it appears that an atmosphere of resonant sound in the frequency of 110 or 111 hertz would have been switching on an area of the brain that biobehavioral scientists believe relates to mood, empathy, and social behavior. Deliberately or not, the people who spent time in such an environment under conditions that may have included a low male voice in ritual chanting or even simple communication were exposing themselves to vibrations that may have actually impacted their thinking. Oh, God. So could it be that that's why, Rockwall is now it was the richest county in Texas. Now it's the second. But still, there's tons of elite and, it's big money that lives there. I mean, could that be what it is? I mean, I'll tell you, folks, a lot of people I've met from Rockwall, they seem real Stepford-like. You know what I mean? Could it be that these vibrations that maybe are happening just from the day-to-day activity of people talking, houses built on top of the wall, people talking in every house, that's a lot of vibrations. Think about how many houses and structures and everything are built on the section of the walk wall. It's thousands of houses and structures. You get that many people talking and walking and moving around vehicles and stuff like that, creating frequencies that make people docile and may even control their minds and make them act in certain ways. My goodness. Well, it's a definite possibility. Kind of ancient fucking mind control box. How long's mind control been going on? Millions of years, buddy. Millions of years. Well, continuing in the emasculation of males, is America ready for this trend introducing mannyhose? Really? Mannyhose. The MERS wasn't enough. Moobs weren't enough. We've actually drank enough plastic now that we've grown bitch tits, have been chemically castrated by MSG, and now it's time for mannyhose? Not me, bucko. No, you're going to catch me wearing that shit and wearing a dress and all that. Fuck you. I know you Illuminati sick fuckers like to try to get everybody to wear the dress. Oh, man. Mannyhose. Jesus Christ. Really, get a hold of yourself, guys. Take your fucking nuts back. The pussy ain't that good. You can do without it. Your hand did you just fine before you even had any. And reclaim your testicles, please, for the love of God. Oh, man. You know what the biggest fucking mind control thing is out there? Women. Sorry, ladies. Had to say it. Yeah, it's not true in all cases, but, you know, some cases. Not all cases, but yeah. Vagina. Let's just say vagina. Okay, not ladies. Vagina. That's the biggest mind control thing there is out there. Vagina. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I retract that statement. It's not ladies. It's not women. Women are great. I love women. I'll take a woman right now if you got one. But, you know, vagina, that's a whole separate entity from the lady. You know what I mean? It really is its own thing. It's its own mind. You know, it has its own likes. You know what I mean? It has its own little things you have to do specifically for it. I mean, it's, you know, it's got a mind of its own, man. And besides that, you know, I mean, you know as well as I do, anything that bleeds for that long, it doesn't die. Best be afraid of. You know, this is a story that normally I probably would overlook, and I don't even know why. To be honest with you, I don't even know why I clicked on this in the first place. But when I clicked on this story and I read it, and it just kind of seemed like it was maybe a mundane story about this guy's bus exploding, I started reading further into this article, and I went, well, there's something about this just seems odd. I can't put my finger on it. The only thing I can venture a guess about this would be something I've talked about many times, is that, you know, what's better than a musician that has hit songs? A dead musician that has hit songs. You know, at least from the perspective of the people that put out the records, right? And I've never heard of this guy. Apparently, he sells records. I wouldn't know because I don't listen to crappy fucking pseudo-syncopated pop country bullshit, which is what he plays under. You may hear me play some country here on this network sometimes, but generally it's old country or, you know, alternative country stuff, which is cool with me. But country hitmaker Jared Neiman was performing at Chattanooga on Tuesday to raise money for charity, but as the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished. The singer ended up narrowly avoiding death when his tour bus exploded in flames that evening. Neiman, known for his tunes Lover, Lover, and Shining on Me. Wow. Goddamn. I'm glad I'm out of touch. I'm glad I don't know anything about that. I'm just so glad to be that far out of touch with that pseudo-syncopated pop country bullshit. Was on board the bus hanging out with his father, uncle, and bandmates when he smelled something funny, but he dismissed it as a harmless odor from the bus's heater. However, fellow musician Lee Brice, who also performed that night and who also nobody who's ever fucking heard of, was on the bus with some of his entourage due to the fact that Brice's own bus, he has a bus, had caught on fire in January. They recognized the smell and urged everyone to get out. Brice exited the bus and confirmed black smoke was coming out of the vehicle, so we got everyone off. Neiman told Chattanooga news station WRCB-TV, and pretty soon we hear this boom, and we think that it's a fuel line, but we look and the whole front windshield was just blown out. Neiman noted to WRCB that he is convinced divine intervention saved him. If we were on the road driving, we would have never smelled it. The smell would have been going down the road. I would have lit up. I would have been in the back room. He's also baffled by the fact that his friend Brice underwent the very same ordeal just a few short weeks ago. And now listen to this. To make the story even more strange, yet another musician whose bus went up in flames recently was scheduled to play that evening. Randy Hauser, who lost most of his property in a bus fire 1 year ago, ended up having to cancel his appearance due to the birth of his son. So these three musicians who all happened to be in the same place together, all three had their buses explode in the past month. Or past a year. That's strange. You know, I mean, who's making these buses, number one? They need to be, you know, reprimanded and forced to do a recall. But, I mean, it's, you know, like I said, normally I don't know why I clicked on that, but when I started reading, it just seemed odd to me. It's like, is this another case? I mean, is this going to be the new thing? Are we going to start seeing, you know, famous bands die in tour bus accidents? So that, you know, because in this shitty economy we're in, I mean, think about it. You know, if you're a musician and you're on a major label, your assets are your songs. And when you essentially go into hot to a record label, because let me tell you, folks, that's all it is. You youngsters out there, listen to me, I'm 35 now. I'm talking to people like I'm a, you know, old man. But I am the elder statesman now because I've been involved in this stuff for a long time. But, you know, you up-and-coming musicians out there think it's all candy and and coke and sex, drugs, and rock and roll getting signed to a record label, you're in for a fucking shock of a lifetime. It's not that way. You are doing nothing more but signing away your entire creative output to a bank, essentially to a loan shark. And everything is recuperable on a record label. You basically go into Hawk. They put all this money up for videos, recording, merchandise, touring, everything, gear. And your job, once they do that, is to use every ounce of energy you have for as long as it takes to pay them back. And if that means you have to start writing shitty songs in order to pay back that loan, you do it. And some bands have lucked out through the years. You know, there have been bands who, there's lots of bands that I've listened to through the years who had the same story of, you know, well, Tripping Daisy is one. They're from Dallas, and I used to hang out with them and go see every show they played. And they had finished their record, I'm an Elastic Firecracker, and the record label heard it, and they said, well, we need a radio song. And they said, well, that's the album. Well, we need a radio song. We need something we can sell to radio. So the lead singer, Tim DeLauder, went and wrote this goofy song about his girlfriend in 2 minutes. They recorded it, and they took it to the record label, and it became a huge hit. But there were people who judged that band on the basis of that one song who didn't know that was just this crappy, stupid, funny song they had to write to get on the radio, which it did. And then they dismissed all the rest of their music, which was a shame because they wrote some really fantastic music. And, it's just fascinating to me to see how all this happens and how the music industry is completely, just garnered towards being nothing but loan sharks. They give you the money up front and your job is to pay it back. And of course, don't think that once you do your job and, you actually get some record sales, that's it. Because what they do is well, then once you do, let's say that you actually do sell some records and you actually, have some success. Well, what do they do next time? Oh, well, you had this success, so what are we going to, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you more money now. See now you're going to be playing arenas instead of theaters. And now you're going to get to, record with, whoever, the Johnny K or whoever the hot producer is at the moment instead of, recording in your basement or something. And every time you have success, what do? Well, they up the ante now because you've performed up to this level. So once you perform up to a certain level, they have another tier waiting for you where they up the ante and they also up the amount of money that they're spending on you at that level. So then your job to sell more records and do that is even increased. And so they keep you on this endless hamster wheel until you rack up so much debt that you are in hock to them and they basically own you and you have to go out and play casinos. And I mean, it's just happened to a lot of bands from the 90s. It's happened to it's happened to bands like Stone Temple Pilots or have been forced to do casino tours now. Even Jane's Addiction, they're out playing casinos and stuff now. It's tough, man, but those things come as a result of bands who sign stupid deals. And they get in hock to record labels and they end up having to fucking tour for the rest of their known lives, paying back what's recouped to these labels. And if, in certain cases, if the record label thinks that they're going to make more money cashing somebody out themselves, hey, here's somebody who's had a history of public drug use. Let's kill them and make it look like they OD'd. Nobody will ever question it. Or here's somebody who's known to have been, a sex fiend. Let's kill him and make it look like autoerotic asphyxiation and nobody will ever ask questions. Bob Geldof and Michael Hutchison, by the way. But, so, it wouldn't surprise me if these bus fire thing was a part of that. I mean, that's, especially in this economy, folks, you're going to start, that's why you've been seeing so many movie stars and musicians buying the farm. And I think absolutely that it has to do with why Randy Quaid has made the claims he has about how they're trying to kill him and take his royalties and stuff. And that he knows they've done that to other people who were his friends. Absolutely, that's real. And absolutely, I think Whitney Houston was victim to that. I think that Kurt Cobain was victim to that. Probably a whole lot more than we even can name. But that's what it boils down to. When they look at how much you're going to recoup for them while you're still alive, versus how much money they're going to make. Michael Jackson, my God. You know? Making way more money for the record labels dead than alive. And that also leads you to the obvious thing is, are some of these people faking their deaths? To cash in on that. Do you get to a point where you have so much money that you have the money to be able to fake your own death? I think it's possible. For years people thought Elvis had faked his own death. That's possible. I don't know. I think it's possible in some cases, but I think in a lot of cases too, they're just, they're cashing out. They look at who owns these record labels. Especially the big ones. I bet you can't find me somebody of a major record label like Atlantic or Warner Brothers. I bet you can't find me one of those guys that's top head of that's not Jewish. I bet you can't. But, that doesn't mean that the Jews run everything. It's the Jews are actually the upper management for things. They're good with money, so priest class fuckers love that. They don't have time to count dollars and, be the money changers when they're worried about, worshiping Satan and fucking little boys in the ass. They don't have time to count money. More ass to sniff. Let's see. Well, we got quite a bit more news tonight to get into. We actually had more news on a Thursday this time than we had on a Monday this week. When does that ever happen? Hardly ever. We're going to take a break, come back, and get into more news for you tonight. Also, probably most likely be reading from Zachariah Stitchin as well. Thanks for staying up late with us. It is the Global Reality Late Night Moonbat edition of the broadcast, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Stay with us. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us tonight. Another live edition of the show. And I want to give a quick tip to those in the chat room who are able to hear me. There's still some people who can't. Could you relay a message to those people for me and tell them that to go to the search engine and type in whatever operating system, and they have, if it's Windows 7 or if it's Windows XP or whatever it may be, and type in Windows XP audio codec pack, codec, CODEC, or whatever your operating system is, just operating system codec pack, and it should be like first thing that comes up. Download one of those and install that, and then restart your player. Try the link again, and it should work. It may be a lot for you to relay in a chat room typing message, but if anybody out there is willing to take that upon themselves to do that, I would appreciate that. Well, yeah, that'll fix the problem. It's a lot of the players don't have that codec, but you can get free codec packs out there that'll play that. So, thanks for being with us. My website where this broadcast originates from is theglobalreality.com. That's theglobalreality.com. For listening on a YouTube video or an archive later, thanks so much for listening as well. Please support our work at the website. We've gotten very little in over the past few weeks after paying the bills. And so we don't have very much in our account right now, and we're trying to not only stay alive and pay the bills and all that, but also to fund a film. So however, which way you can help us, if you can help us on one and not the other, that's fine. But if you can help us on both, that's fine too. But whatever we can get, we just need to get some support right now into the show. We don't have commercials. We don't have ads. We don't have any of that stuff. And I'm able to bring you the information I am because of that. So please try and support our work this week if you can, because we haven't got much in, and we really need some help right now. Let's get back into the news. I was discussing this in the chat room earlier with some folks, and I'm just going to reiterate what I was saying in there, because it's absolutely a fact from my research. Everybody's talking about this story today. Pat Robertson wants you to smoke pot legally. Pat Robertson and marijuana legalization make for strange bedfellows, but he's actually been championing the cause, specifically its place in the conversation about prison reform since 2010. Yes, according to an interview with the New York Times on Wednesday, the strict evangelical who believes gay people cause hurricanes and that mac and cheese may be a black thing. I had macaroni and cheese tonight. What's wrong with that? It's also for the legalization of marijuana, but it isn't because he's tried this stuff. It's a bit more complicated than that. I really believe we should treat marijuana the way we treat beverage alcohol. I've never used marijuana. I don't intend to, but it's just one of those things that I think this war on drugs just hasn't succeeded. And there's a reason why these guys, these right-wingers, are coming out with this now, and it's because they're all in bed with Monsanto. Monsanto has their tentacles in everything, or they at least hope to have, and they are pretty much almost all the way there. Unless you specifically go to a health food grocery store or something like that and get specific stuff. Monsanto wants to have its hands and wants to be the provider of every single thing that human beings on this planet consume. That includes marijuana, tobacco, alcohol, no matter what it may be. Everything. This is why Monsanto has... essentially, for all intents and purposes, folks, Monsanto has bought out our government. When you really go research Monsanto, look how many things they're involved in, how many politicians they own. Literally own. It's staggering. And we covered the story here, I think it was back in June or so last year. It was, AFP, mainstream news, about the Monsanto GMO marijuana that is ungodly cheap, that they can grow so much more of, and they're already growing it in Colombia and shipping it to the United States and selling it. If you're a marijuana smoker, you've probably already smoked some of it. If you've noticed over the past couple of years, an increase in things called middies or popcorn, as I've seen it described in the research I've done, they according to what I found, that stuff is the Monsanto GMO stuff. They call it popcorn because it breaks apart like popcorn, supposedly, and they sell it for a premium price, more than, say, the Mexican brown frown, harvest weed, commercial grade marijuana, brickweed. They sell it. It doesn't come like that. So it's generally doesn't have many seeds, if any. And there are also people who are taking that stuff and selling that as hydroponic marijuana, which is an increase in price. And, people who don't know the difference are buying it. And the Monsanto's goal is, this is why they're lobbying Washington to get marijuana legal. That's why Pat Robertson's calling for it now, because his buddies are all in Monsanto and Blackwater, and they're all in bed together. And so the plan is to get blanket marijuana legalization. So number one, they can make trillions of dollars, and maintain their phony Ponzi scheme a while longer while maintaining their war structure and their military-industrial complex structure and their control and tracking grid. Because believe me, you're going to get... I said it from before Obama got elected. I said, you're going to see legal marijuana in your lifetime, but it's not going to be good. And that was before we even knew about the Monsanto stuff. And now that we know about that, we see yet again, I was exactly right. I was saying that in 2007 when I first started on air. And here we are. And so what we have here is Monsanto is lobbying for marijuana to be legal so they can control the whole game. Because you'll be buying this cheaper than dirt to produce genetically modified marijuana. Who knows what it does to your DNA structure? It'll be sold like alcohol. And if you're somebody who wants to grow your own, say outdoors in a field or something, forget about it. If your stuff cross-pollinates, if you get that's how they'll make laws to ensure that, it's just like bootlegging. If you're selling somebody's trademarked product and you're not licensed to sell the trademarked product, and the only thing that's legal is the Monsanto stuff, well, then, So there'll still be a black market, but the thing that they're trying to do here is shut down individual people who deal marijuana so that they can change the structure of it where it's commercially sold. Because the fact of the matter is that there are so many people who are illegally selling marijuana now. The amount of tax dollars they are losing on transactions for marijuana, they've done the math on this. They've got computers that are sophisticated enough now they can run algorithms on this stuff. And I bet you $1 to donuts, from the research I've done, these guys have already run the algorithms, and they've already determined how many people are selling marijuana? How would they be able to determine that number? Because they can determine, how much is in the country because it's their product. And so they have now determined that the amount of money that is lost in marijuana transactions because of the black market warrants the justification of them being able to legalize marijuana while at the same time making sure that Monsanto owns the patents for the GMO stuff, and the GMO stuff becomes the widely accepted stuff. Now, if you're lucky, they may actually do like they're doing with the food now, and they'll have, you'll be able to have the non-GMO alternative that you'll pay, an extra premium for. But that's the whole thing, is they're going to jack up the prices on all of this stuff. You think you're paying a lot street prices now. You look for it to triple, if not quadruple, once it's in the hands of the power structure. And it's going to come. It's going to come. You wouldn't see Robertson and these guys talking about it, but they're only doing this because they're pimps and minions for Monsanto and the big pharma ag conglomerates that have a vested interest in controlling everything humans consume. That's the long and the short of it. I thought that the Titanic, I haven't ever researched this, but I've had people tell me that supposedly, and I know everybody's going to send me this info now. I really don't care either way. I just think it's funny. But I heard that somebody said one time to me that the sinking of the Titanic was some Jesuit conspiracy. Yeah, I don't know if that's true, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it. Honestly, I've never researched it. It could be true, but now they're saying that a century after the Titanic disaster, scientists have found an unexpected culprit for the sinking of the Titanic, the moon. But the lunar connection may explain how an unusually large number of icebergs got into the path of the Titanic. So now they're blaming it on the moon, and I love how they're doing this just right before they're about to come out with a 3D theatrical version of that god-awful fucking James Cameron flick, Titanic. Ugh. Jesus. And yeah, my heart will live in the best cricket. I mean, God, we really got to go there again. Once wasn't enough. But yeah, they're saying it's the moon. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I love when you get to see examples of when these bloodline fuckers come out and support each other. Tom Hanks narrates Obama's campaign documentary. Well, who else? Who else would you get but Tom Hanks? He's in the family. He's in the bloodline. He's related to Obama. So who else would you get? Justin Timberlake, their other cousin, probably did the soundtrack. Oh, man. I talked about the Coney 2012 stuff last night on the show. I don't really have anything else to say about that. But, of course, now they're coming out with articles. Coney 2012, Invisible Children's viral video sparks criticism that others say is unfounded. And it's funny. I mean, it's spreading like wildfire, and dumbasses are getting caught in it, just like they get caught up in the Alex Jones net. It's just, I just like to, I try to steer people in the right direction when I see people supporting this bullshit. And I've seen people I know already supporting it. And, of course, they don't listen to me, but I try. And, I'm really done with trying. Researchers say it's time to re-examine LSD as a treatment for alcoholism. That's kind of a similar thing with LSD as with the marijuana thing we were talking about earlier. LSD has so much propaganda surrounding it. It makes you're gonna turn into a glass of orange juice and beg everyone not to drink you, and it stays in your spinal column for life, and you're gonna have flashbacks and it destroys your DNA. Well, actually, what they found is that LSD actually causes 12-strand DNA activation. So that's why they used the Grateful Dead and Timothy Leary. More specifically, that's why they used Timothy Leary. And he admitted it. There's quotes you can go read where Timothy Leary admitted, yeah, I worked for the CIA. They came and asked me to work for them. And they're the CIA. I was scared to say no. And he did, and that's when they did the tune-in, drop-out thing, and then they were able to demonize it through him and make it illegal because they actually found out that it actually can have positive effects. Neuroscientists at the Norwegian Universities of Science and Technology have called for research on LSD as a possible treatment for alcoholism to continue. There has been a need for better treatments for addiction. Terry Krebs, and Pal Orhan Johannes said after reviewing previous LSD research, "We think it's time to look at the use of psychedelics in treating various conditions. Although most people associate the psychedelic drug with the hippie counterculture of the 1960s, psychiatrists have been studying the use of LSD as an aid to psychological therapy before it became outlawed in the United States and other parts of the world." Krebs and Johansson found 6 different studies on LSD as treatment for alcoholism that they considered scientifically sound. The studies, which included a combined 536 participants, were conducted either in the U.S. or Canada between 1966 and 1970. In the studies, the participants all went through the same rehabilitation program, but one group of participants received a single large dose of LSD, while other groups received a low dose of LSD, a stimulant drug, or placebo. After being given the substance, the participants were encouraged to reflect on their alcohol problem. Neither the participants nor the researchers knew who got what substance, a procedure known as double-blind, and an independent and standardized follow-up examinations ranging from 1 to 12 months later, all of the studies showed that the patients who had received a full dose of LSD fared the best. Krebs and Johansson noted, on average, 59% of full-dose patients showed a clear improvement compared with 38% in the other groups. Their quantitative study, known as meta-analysis, was published in the Journal of Psychopharmacology. We do not yet fully know why LSD works this way, but we know that the substance is non-toxic and that it is non-addictive. See, there you go. They just admitted it. We know that it is non-toxic and not addictive. And they've known that for years. But what started happening is that you started having people who were making it homemade, and they were cutting it with all kinds of stuff. And so the chemicals and stuff that people were cutting with when they were making it, which I think was done intentionally to offset the positive effects. I think that was fully a part of their plan. I had a great uncle, and I don't remember his real name. I haven't been able to find out what his real name is. He was my grandfather's brother, and everybody called him Uncle Mule. But there was a story that my dad had told me, and he did before my grandfather died in 2004. My dad said, you know, get in there and talk to Papa, and get him to, get in there and ask him about Uncle Mule, before it's too late. Get him to tell you some stuff. And so I did, and he told me about how Uncle Mule had apparently been a part of the CIA's LSD experiments way, way, way back in the day. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, 30s, 40s or something. And nobody saw him for a long time, I don't know, 6 months, a year or something like that. And one day he just showed up out of the blue at my great-grandmother's house, disheveled, didn't know where he was at, didn't know where he had been, didn't know what the hell was going on. And they said that his clothes were so disgusting from whatever he'd been through that my great-grandmother had to burn them in the burn barrel. And I really want to find out, what his first name was and stuff. Last name was Reeves. So I can, maybe do some Freedom of Information Act request stuff and find out. I mean, I'd really like to know if I had a family member involved in, MK Ultra acid tests or something. I mean, it's unbelievable. And my dad had an experience where when he was a teenager, he took some LSD and he took too much, and him and his buddy went and watched Planet of the Apes. And I watched that movie Bobby, and it's just funny because there's the Shia LaBeouf character in that. They were like, they took acid. Let's go watch Planet of the Apes. I was like, wow, my dad did that. That's crazy. But he ended up taking too much, and one of his friends locked him in a closet with an alien poster or something, and he flipped out, and they didn't know what to do. They took him back to my grandparents' house, and he was flipping out, and they took him to the fucking emergency room and shot him up full of downers and stuff. And it was just a total nightmare. And so later on in when I got older and I had some various experiences with LSD, some good, some not so good. And boy, my dad didn't like that very much, He didn't like that very much at all. But it's just interesting to me that, right there, we know that it's non-toxic and it's not addictive. Yeah, if it's pure LSD, it's made the right way. It's completely non-toxic and not addictive. But it's not the drug itself that does the damage to you. It's what you inflict on yourself, because you can get so far gone on that stuff if you take too much. Because like if you just take a small amount or whatever, or even a decent amount, you still have the ability to kind of turn it off if you want to turn it off. You know what I mean? I mean, you're still kind of tripping, but you can get calm for a minute and kind of pull yourself out of it. But if you take too much, your ability to be able to pull yourself out of it goes away. And pretty soon, everything just starts swirling. It's like, I mean, everything in front, like where it blurs your vision, where you can't even see straight. You can get so fucked up on LSD that you won't even be able to see straight, dude, and it'll freak you the fuck out. So a lot of the stuff that through the years has been done has been self-inflicted stuff because, well, frankly, when you're dealing with a culture, a subculture of that deals in drug, you're not necessarily dealing with people who are giving you a doctor's prescribed dose. You know what I mean? And everybody's physiology is different, but yet you have a hit of acid and that's one size fit all. Well, what if you got somebody that doesn't have much experience? Or what if we have somebody who's small? Well, it's going to fuck those people up even worse. So, and that may cause that person to have a bad trip or something because their physiology is different, so it affects them more. It's not because they have a weak mind. Every time somebody has a bad trip or something, people always say, oh, that person has a weak mind, or you're weak-minded, or you can't handle your shit, or whatever. It's really not even that. It all has to do with physiology, and everybody's brains and bodies process the stuff differently. And so, when you have a one-size-fit-all dose, it's kind of, and without somebody professionally administering it to you, the results are going to be wide and varied, and that's when you can run into problems. But absolutely, I can't sit here and tell you, if I tried to sit here and tell you that I hadn't changed my life for the positive and for the good as a result of hallucinogenic drugs, I'd be lying to you. Because I have, and I had a girlfriend one time who absolutely couldn't deal with that because her mom was a crackhead. And so when I told her that I did psychedelics, she immediately flipped out and wanted to break up with me because she didn't think anything ever good could come of any drug at all. She didn't smoke. She didn't drink. She didn't do anything. Straight edge as fuck. But she would, swallow your dick down to her stomach. I mean, yeah, that's kind of, why is that? Why is it that there's always, it's always these girls who don't drink, they're goody two-shoes, but yet, good God, they can suck a fucking chrome off a trailer hitch from across the street. Why is that? It's always the straight edge ones. Same thing with guys. Except with guys, it's like it's always the straight edge motherfucking guys who are like, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do anything, but they will fucking kick your fucking ass right fucking now, motherfucker. You ever notice that? The straight edge chicks are like sexual freaks. I mean, you can put it anywhere you want, anytime. But they don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't do drugs, they don't do anything. They're straight edge. And the straight edge guys like, don't drink, don't smoke, do anything, but they'll kick your fucking ass right now, motherfucker. God damn it, let's go. They're ready to fight. They're intense. But I've had positive, as Bill Hicks says, can we get a positive drug story for once, Tonight, a man on LSD realized we're all one. Here's sports. That about wraps that up, doesn't it? Oh, this is great. We all know that in our society this day and age, if you have a problem or if you have, an issue, can't get your dick hard or can't think right, or you have emotional issues, what do? Pop a pill. Hey, we got a pill for that. We got a pill for everything now. And now the trend is, I've noticed, because I've seen this happen with several different drugs now. Now the trend is to take a drug that to fix a problem, because I think this is a natural sort of carryover, because every drug you see or hear advertised, it's like, this will cure your insomnia, may cause drowsiness, depression, suicide, thoughts of wanting to kill yourself, may cause you to eat your wife's ear in the middle of the night, may cause you to stab your children. It's like, Jesus Christ. My dick's going to be hard, but I'm going to be fucking, scraping my scalp off with a butter knife before the night's over. So now the trend is, and I think it's a natural side effect of that because everything has side effects. Now the trend is to, let's take a drug that's for some other thing, for some other kind of symptom that's completely unrelated. And I've seen this happen more and more. And I think it's a direct carryover of that, all these drugs have a million side effects. Listen to this. This is going to, I mean, they're really, really pushing this now. Every time you think they can't take it to a new level, they do. Feeling racist? Blood pressure pill, propropanol, may open hearts and minds. A commonly prescribed drug used to treat high blood pressure may have the unintended benefit of muting racist thoughts in those who take it. Now, let me get this straight. So now we're saying if you might have racist thought, just because you have a racist thought, what does that even mean? I mean, we all have had a racist thought, and have probably had a racist thought in the last 10 minutes, all of us. But because we have a racist thought, we want to take a fucking blood pressure pill to keep us from having racist thoughts? I mean, having a racist thought is one thing. Saying it out loud and acting on it is a completely different one. Now, if you're having a racist thought, you're not acting on it, fine. But this is not saying for people who are acting on their racist thoughts. This is saying for people who have racist thoughts. I mean, this is absolutely straight out of, Brave New World. A new Oxford University research found that propanol, which works to combat high blood pressure, anxiety, migraines, and a number of heart ailments, affects the same part of the central nervous system that regulates subconscious attitudes on race. So you're telling me that they're telling us that we have a part of our central nervous system that regulates subconscious attitudes on race? You've got to be fucking kidding me. Can we see some documentation on that, please? I mean, folks, I've gotten up here before and I've told people out there about pieces of information, and they've called me a fucking bold-faced liar to my face. They've called me a liar and they said I'm a conspiracy theorist, I'm making stuff up. And then I show them proof and they don't want the proof. Here we have someone that says there is a part, quote, let me quote it, part of the central nervous system that regulates subconscious attitudes on race. You're telling me that we have a part of our brains that supposedly regulates our attitudes on race? I'd like to see some documentation on that. Are you really? Really? A part of our brains regulates what our attitude on people's race is? I am not going to fucking believe that. No fucking way. Let me see some hard data, motherfucker. A part of our nervous system that regulates subconscious attitudes on race. And how did you find that one out, Einstein? I'd like to know. I am all ears. I am waiting with bated breath for you to explain to me how you were able to determine that a part of our central nervous system regulates subconscious attitudes about race. I mean, these pseudo-scientist motherfuckers will make up anything and shovel it down your throat, and because it's done in a scientific manner, you're expected to believe it's real, and some people do. It's the same thing with the stuff I've been going over on the rock wall that Bud Shelton, the geologist, had gone over. His shit it's full of pseudo-scientific jargon that's worded to sound scientifically correct, but every time he comes to something that's unexplainable, he throws up his own theories on geology that aren't based in anything more than the theories about the rock wall being man-made. But yet that's what becomes the commonly held belief. So if you're racist, take a heart blood pressure pill now, because we know how to affect that part of your brain that subconsciously affects how you feel about race. How about a drug that subconsciously changes how I feel about stupid motherfuckers who write news articles? How about that? That's a drug I'd take. Make me not want to come to your house and hack your fucking heads off with a machete anymore. I'd love to have that drug, because some of these people that write these articles, I really want to go put a fucking flaming shit bomb on their fucking doorsteps. Good God. No surprise here. I think we're starting to see, or absolutely have seen now, the proof being in the pudding on the whole anonymous hackers and lulsec hackers and all that. I think it's more than the fact that these guys were infiltrated. I think what the case of the matter is here is that, it's just like anything. They get people, it's like, Alex Jones does, the Patriot Movement, Truth Movement does, or like Al-Qaeda does. The leaders and the people at the top are feds and plants. They start these groups, and then they recruit in other people. And then the other people that they recruit in, which are oftentimes just regular people, those are the people that they prosecute and put in jail and then publicly say are the hackers. Hacker Sabu worked full nights online for the FBI. So if you think they don't pay people to sit 24 hours around the clock and sit in and talk in chat rooms like mine and monitor what people's going on, you got another thing coming. They absolutely do. And believe me, folks, there's always spooks around. I'll tell you this, there's always spooks around. There's always been spooks around from the very first show I ever did. Like they knew what was coming. I can't explain it. It's a fact. One late night visit by the FBI was all it took for the notorious hacker known as Sabu to switch sides and become a valued snitch. Hector Xavier Monazur cooperated immediately in June, helping investigators close a net around 5 other leaders on the international hacking group Anonymous, according to court records made on public. Monsieur sometimes stayed up all night talking with co-conspirators to help the government build its case. See, I don't think that he was an infiltrator or got turned. I think he was, from the beginning, an agent, from the very beginning. And that they set up this Anonymous thing to, again, rope in hackers to get the real hackers who they see as a threat roped into these hacking groups so they can, take them down. And then, of course, these guys, what they'll do is they'll take these guys in, they'll scare the piss out of them, they'll make them think that Bubba's going to butt rape them immediately when they're in jail and just get them good and fucking scared and get them in there. Cops love to get you in there and sweat you down and scare the piss out of you and stuff. They get off on it. And they'll get them in there and get them all piss scared. And then somebody else will come in, probably from the FBI or NSA, probably NSA, and they'll come in and offer them a job working for the federal government, hacking, other countries' systems, doing analysis, whatever have you, for a reduced sentence. They do it every time. That's how the government has acquired. That's their scam of how they've acquired some of the most high-level hackers in the world. They bust them, and then they make them an offer they can't refuse. This is interesting. I haven't talked about this on the show. Just, I don't know. I don't always want to mention every little personal detail about myself, but because of this story, I'd like to mention this now, just because, it's something I'm kind of proud of. I'm not really somebody who has an addictive attitude, or an addictive personality. I've never really been able to get addicted to things, which is good. I smoke, but I'm not going to be smoking forever. And I already know, one day I'm sure I'll quit. But I really feel like I could quit any time, but the thing is I don't want to, you know what I mean? I enjoy smoking. So that's the thing. But the biggest monkey I've ever had on my back, sodas, man. Not even kidding you. Sodas. Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, it doesn't matter. And I'm proud to announce that I have been free and clear of the soda monkey for a month and a half. I'm never going back, dude. I'm done. I'm free and clear. So, yeah, hey, let's hear it. Let's hear it from me, man. That's an accomplishment. I think that'll sound like much in the grand scheme of things, but I tell you what, man, for me, that's a huge thing. I tell you what, never felt better either. Never felt better. Feel a lot better. Since I hadn't been drinking. I'm more tired. I think I sleep longer now. I used to sleep like 6 hours, but I'm getting the full 7 hours, or maybe sometimes 8 hours. I'm lucky, but man, I do feel better since I haven't been drinking that stuff. And now, they're coming out left and right saying that the caramel coloring now is known to be a carcinogen. Today's leading cola beverages contain high levels of a substance linked to cancer in animals, according to new research. An independent study commissioned by the Center for Science and the Public Interest uncovered 4-methyl-limazidol. 4-methyl-limazidol, or 4-MI, in Coke, Diet Coke, Pepsi, and Diet Pepsi, at levels 4.8 times greater than those allowed in beverages in California. 4-MI is a byproduct of the reaction that produces the caramel coloring in brown sodas. The chemical has been found to be carcinogenic in animal studies. The state of California has banned 4-MI in any amount that could potentially lead to one cancer case in 100,000 people. However, the levels found in these 4 leading cola brands indicated a lifetime risk of 5 cancers out of 100,000. Assuming that people drink one soft drink per day, that risk rises to 10 cancers out of 100,000 people. who drink only soft drinks containing caramel color. The Federal Food and Drug Administration sets an even more conservative risk limit for contaminated in food additives and cancer in 1 in 1 million people, but the reported rates of 4-MI that are associated with 48 cancers in 1 million. Coke and Pepsi, with the acquiescence of the FDA, are needlessly exposing millions of Americans to a chemical that causes cancer. The coloring is completely cosmetic. It has nothing to do with adding flavor to the product. If companies can make brown food coloring that is carcinogen-free, the industry should use that. And the industry seems to be moving in that direction. Otherwise, the FDA needs to protect consumers from this risk by banning the coloring. So that should be your wake-up call right there. If you're on the sodas, get off of them. I'll tell you what the secret is: tea. Tea is cheap. You can brew it cheap. You can make it cheap. That's the secret. But yeah, I'm never going back. I'm off of them for good. Let's see what else we have. Well, here they are back again. We talked about a while back about the pink slime stuff. Now I talked about how it seemed like it was an operation towards. Everything was just like this Coney thing. It was going viral all over the social networking sites, and then boom! All of a sudden, within a few days, McDonald's says they're taking the pink slime out. Well, that was an operation, to change over that. I mean, it was a marketing scheme to change it over and make people think that they're getting healthier stuff. Well, now they're upping the ante and saying that 70% of ground beef in the supermarket has pink slime. I mean, I was hearing about this 5-6 years ago, folks. This is not news. But, this is another precedent, like Zbigniew Brzezinski talked about in his book, Between Two Ages, of, this technological feudalism, the haves and the have-nots. And it's already here, That's why they have, it used to be you could go to the grocery store and whatever you bought, you could be safe that you were getting, decent stuff. It's not that way anymore. I mean, they actually have class, grocery stores. Now, you go to a grocery store and, regular grocery store, you can go to the health food grocery store, and you're going to pay 3 times as much for your food if you to eat healthy. That's just the way it is. I mean, I don't eat nearly as healthy as I should, but I try to when I can. Control dangerous artificial intelligence before it controls us, says one expert. I'd have to agree with that. This is from MSNBC, surprisingly. Super intelligent computers or robots have threatened humanity's existence more than once in science fiction. Such doomsday scenarios could be prevented if humans can create a virtual prison to contain artificial intelligence before it grows dangerously self-aware. Keeping the artificial intelligence genie trapped in the proverbial bottle could turn an apocalyptic threat into a powerful oracle that solves humanity's problems. Yeah, right. There is that possibility. But look at our history. Look at us as a people. Look at what we've done with technology so far. Have we really utilized technology so far to be able to provide humans with a powerful oracle that solves humanity's problems? No. We have used all the technology at our disposal for full control and the further enslavement of the people, period, end of story. So you can talk all this ideological horseshit to me, and that's what every time you bring up transhumanism and stuff like that to people, they always bring up this ideological bullshit that's not based in reality of, if you can save people who can't see, if you can give them eyes, or if you can save people who don't have legs and give them new legs, why wouldn't you want to do that? Huh? All this self-righteous horseshit of saving people and bullshit. Call me when your idealistic dream world becomes a reality. The facts do not support, ladies and gentlemen, that with unbridled technology we will raise humanity to a level where we can solve all of our problems. No. The more technology they get, the more further we get enslaved, and the more we get enamored by it and become sucked in and seduced into the matrix because of the things that we're able to use it and how it affects our lives in ways that we haven't had our lives affected before. And, you think people are addicted to those smartphones now. I'm telling you this, you may laugh at me and think that it's kooky, but this addiction to technology and this addiction to smartphones and always have to have it, checking it and being in a technology loop and, oh, I got to check my Twitter. Oh, I got to check my Facebook. Oh, shit, I got to log into MySpace. Oh, fuck, somebody just sent me an invite on Reddit. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, fuck, there's LinkedIn. I've got to go over here to LinkedIn. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, what's going over here on Gmail? Let's go over here. Well, shit, now I'm on Gmail. I need to go over to Google+. Okay, let's go see what's going on Google+. Okay, I just got an ad on Google+. Okay, let me go over here to Friendster. What's on Friendster? Okay, we got over here on Friendster. Let's go over here on this one over here. Oh, shit, do people even use Friendster anymore? I don't know. I'm going to use mine anyway. Okay, let's go over here. All right, let's check my Blogger website over here. Okay, I've got my vlog. Let's go over here. Oh, shit, YouTube. Oh, God, I've got to check my hits on YouTube. Oh, man, let me see. Let me go over there. Okay, there we go. Let's go to YouTube. Let's check out how many hits we got going over here. I mean, you just, but eventually they want that to merge with you. And it's going to be here sooner than it is later, folks. I mean, very soon, the next few years. But successful containment requires careful planning so that a clever breed of artificial intelligence cannot simply threaten, bribe, seduce, or hack its way to freedom. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Interesting wording, isn't it? A clever breed of artificial intelligence cannot simply threaten, bribe, seduce, or hack its way into freedom. Wow. That's interesting wording, consider what I've talked about many times here on the show about my thoughts on transhumanism being a Trojan horse for these fourth dimensional entities or, offer entities, spiritual entities, seducing us, its way to freedom, seducing us into making these technological bodies so that these entities can inhabit these physical plane bodies and take over and rule things. And I think we're a lot farther into the matrix already than people believe with AI computers and the Caesar 3 system and all the Caesar computers, supercomputer systems. I think we're a lot farther there than people know. This is an interesting story. Schoolgirl 12 and her best friend commit suicide over lost house key, thinking their death will make them time travelers. Two Chinese girls killed themselves in bizarre circumstances after leaving suicide notes saying they believed their deaths would enable them to travel back in time. Well, maybe it did. How would you ever know? Maybe they did travel back in time. Maybe their souls went back in time somewhere and were born in somebody else's body. Who knows? How would you ever know, right? The tragic chain of events began when one of the girls decided to take her own life because she was so distraught over losing a house key. Yeah, I mean, fuck, they cut your head off in China for that, don't they? I mean, you can't. China does not tolerate screw-ups at all. And there's so goddamn many of them that life is just disposable to them. They got the mobile kill van running around in China. Oh, you messed up. You got the mobile kill van right now. We harvest your organs into Israel. We have Jew weight on that liver. I mean, they fucking wait. I mean, they'll hack your ass up in a mobile kill van, dude. Send your shit off to fucking Israel, and some rabbi will suck the penis blood out and take the rest for parts. Parts is parts. Jesus. But I wish them well. Maybe they did travel back in time. Who knows? Revealed how America's secret space plane has been in orbit for over a year and nobody knows what it's doing. The X-37B has been circling the Earth at 1,700 miles per hour and was due to land in California in December. I know exactly what it's doing. It's a fucking gravity bomb. They're going to drop that motherfucker on probably going to drop it on Iran first. Because, it's illegal for them to have anything like that up there. It violates all worldwide treaties for there to be, strategic space-based weapons, but we have them. But, if shit gets out of hand with Iran, it seems they're trying to tone it down, at least in the media perspective. For the longest time, they ran the op of trying to ramp it up. Now, the current op this week has been to try and downplay Iran, which actually worries me more than them ramping it up. We've seen the ramp up. We've seen that for years. But now you've got Israel saying, the Iran regime, wow, they're just so so rational, the most rational regime we've ever dealt with. And, you know, it's kind of that way. But I mean, you know, if Iran became a threat or a perceived threat and they ramped that up or did a false flag or something, they could feasibly drop the X-37B gravity weapon on Iran, knock them the fuck out of Dodge, had no radioactive signature whatsoever, and go in, set up shop, run a fucking pipeline, dude. Suck that fucking oil out and take it out. You know what I heard? I heard from somebody one time who was in the armed forces. I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, it wouldn't. There's not really any way for me to be able to tell this, but somebody who was in the armed forces told me one time that all the shit about the Caspian Sea oil reserves and all that stuff, the reason that we haven't ever went into Iran, the reason they've been bricking on that stuff and why they switched over to this nuclear threat is because supposedly the reason Iran has wanted this nuclear power has been because the Caspian Sea oil reserves have been drained dry and were drained dry a long time ago. And with everybody thinking that, you know, an invasion of Iran or something like that would get us cheaper oil prices, they're in for a surprise. I think that's why they did all the stuff with in Libya and all that, you know, to get their oil reserves, because, you know, they already had found out that Iran's were drained dry. The U.S. Air Force highly secret unmanned space plane was supposed to stay in space for 9 months, but now it's been there a year and 3 days and no one knows what it's doing. The experimental craft has been circling Earth at 17,000 miles per hour and was due to land in California in December. However, the mission of the X-37B orbital test vehicle was extended for unknown reasons. The plane resembles a mini space shuttle and is the second to fly in space. Maybe it's not even a gravity bomb. Maybe it's could be a particle beam laser inside of that thing that can hit targets strategically from space. The Vehicle Systems Program Director, Lieutenant Colonel Tom McIntyre, told the Los Angeles Times in December, "We initially planned a 9-month mission. Keeping the X-37B in orbit will provide us with additional experimentation opportunities to allow us to extract the maximum value out of the mission." Yeah, baffle them with bullshit. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, you got to baffle them with bullshit. Good job, NASA. Living up to that old title that you have earned so well. Never a straight answer. That's what NASA means. How long have I mean, every day now. Here's another one. Every day now, here's some kind of new scientific revelation, some new story on, how closely related we are to apes and the DNA and all that stuff. I mean, I really do think they're acclimating us for this, for the possibility of the revelation of the genetic manipulation by the Anunnaki. I think they're acclimating us to it. I mean, yet another article. How many days in a row have we had? It seems like every single day for months now I've had one of these articles. What separates man from the apes? Not much. DNA study on gorillas show that we're far more similar than scientists thought. We have long known chimpanzees were our closest cousins, but it seems we have plenty in common with gorillas too. After sequencing their genetic code, experts have found that 15% of gorillas' DNA is closer to humans than a chimp's. The shared pool includes genes involved in brain development and hearing, and challenging the theory that humans' sophisticated listening abilities evolve when we develop language. Scientists believe the findings could shed new light on how humans evolved. Yeah, I bet it can. Researchers of the Wellcome Trust Sanger Institute in Cambridge found that our genes are close to those of the gorilla and are 98% identical, although we share around 99% of our makeup with chimpanzees. We know they use the genetic material. Speaking of genetic material, here's yet another one. The genetic tweak that could help us stay cancer-free and remain thin no matter how much we eat. Scientists have made a potential breakthrough against both cancer and obesity after identifying a way to modify a gene that controls cell growth. Mice given an extra copy of the anti-cancer gene PATEN were less prone to weight gain and were more resistant to disease. The PATEN gene is controlling cell growth in both mice and humans. The study of the Spanish National Cancer Center also found the creatures who adapted genes lived longer. So, I mean, now they cracked the human genome a long time ago. But again, as I mentioned earlier, with Zabrudny Brzezinski in his 1969 book, The Rise of the Technotronic Era Between Two Ages, we're back to that same point again. Technological feudalism, the idea of, the haves and the have-nots. Yeah, we can do that genetic tweak, but it's going to cost you. And if you don't have the money to pay for it, well, you die. All right, let's continue our reading right now of The End of Days by Zachariah Sitchin. Seeking a clearer answer, Daniel then asked a divine messenger to speak plainly. How long until the end of these awful things? In response, he again received the enigmatic answer that the end will come after a times and a times and a half time. The fuck does that mean? Why aren't these gods or entities ever clear on their fucking messages? I mean, who talks like that, really? Please, oh great master, please tell me, when will the end of days occur? Please, master, do you hear me? I'm calling you. Please tell me when the end of days will occur. Pathetic human. The end will come after a times and a half time. What in the fuck does that mean, great master? I mean, really, who talks like that? But what did times and a half time mean? What did 70 weeks of years mean? 70 weeks of years? Could this have to be with that dream that I had the other night? About the moon, the sun expanding out and pushing us farther out so our orbit's farther, but the sun still heated us in the way we needed for life. But because of our long orbit, we live longer. I heard and did not understand, Daniel stated in his book, so I said, my Lord, what will be the outcome of these things? Again, speaking in codes, the angel answered, from the time the regular offering is abolished and an appalling abomination is set up, it will be 1,290 days. Happy is the one who waits and reaches 1,335. And having given Daniel that information, the angel who had called him before, Son of Man, told him, now go on thy end and arise for your destiny at the end of days. What in the fuck does that mean? Why can't these, you're almighty and all-knowing and omnipotent and everything else. God damn it, can you just speak plain English? Can you dumb it down a little bit for brother? Good God. Like Daniel, generations of biblical scholars, savants, and theologians, astrologers, and even astronomers, the famed Sir Isaac Newton among the latter, also said, we heard but did not understand. The enigma is not just the meaning of time and a half time, and so on, but from when does or did this count begin? The uncertainty stems from the fact that the symbolic vision seen by Daniel, such as a goat attacking a ram or two horns multiplying to 4 and then dividing, were explained to him by the angels as events that were to take place well beyond Babylon of Daniel's time, beyond its predicted fall, even beyond the prophesied rebuilding of the temple after 70 years. The rise and demise of the Persian Empire, the coming of the Greeks under Alexander's leadership, even the division of his conquered empire among his successors, all are foretold with such accuracy that many scholars believe that the Daniel prophecies are of the post-event genre, that the book's prophetic part was actually written circa 250 BCE, but pretended to have been written 3 centuries earlier. The clinching argument is the reference in one of the angelic encounters to the start of the count. from the time that regular offering in the temple is abolished and an appalling abomination is set up. That could only refer to the events that took place in Jerusalem on the 25th day of the Hebrew month Kislev in the 167 BCE. The date is precisely recorded, for it was then that the abomination of desolation was placed in the temple, marking, many then believed, the start of the end of days. So that is the end of chapter 14, and we'll go ahead and stop right there. Keep it nice and neat, and we'll pick back up tomorrow night. Don't forget, we are having, the past 4 months, we've been back to having Friday night shows again, so if you haven't been tuning in on Friday nights live regularly, we usually start around 12 or 1 a.m. Central Standard Time, so definitely come and hang out and catch a show on a Friday night, and if you don't catch it then, listen to it on the weekend or something, and then we also have the Sunday night music show as well. Please support our work if you can, folks, by either getting a DVD or making a donation in our Chipping Banner, either one of the Chipping Banners, or sending a donation through the donate button or becoming a monthly member, however you want to do it. You can also send it directly, so we don't have won't have any fees. You can send donations directly to dayglow76@yahoo.com through PayPal. But however you want to do it, please support us today, because we hadn't got very much in this weekend. We are hurting, so please help us out if you can. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. We'll see you tomorrow. You guys have a great one. Take care.